So I decided that I'm happy with my V2 flyer. So I'm going to revert to that one. I'm going to go to open. I'm going to choose show flyer V2. That's the one where I had those blurry stripes. And I like this look. And the client's coming over, and so I wanted to show you a really cool trick that I like to use to hide the bleed. Because this is confusing for some of the clients. They will come over and they'll say, well, I don't want those blue lines and I don't want those extras on there. And when they get the flyer, sometimes they say, oh, the text is really close to the edge. When you showed it to me, it was kind of far from the edge. And so this is a trick that I like to use to really easily mimic what it's going to look like in its final cut version. So the trick is you simply go to the top layer, and then I'm going to create a brand new layer by coming down here to the new layer icon, and I just click that, and it makes a new blank layer here right at the top. And I'm going to name this layer Bleed Sim. And this is going to simulate what the document's going to look like after it's cut. And so it's going to get rid of this bleed area. And so what I'm going to do is click on the eyedropper tool, and I'm going to just click on this background. Look at that. You can actually suck up the color of this background so that we're going to fill it with the same color, and it's really going to hide this area. So that's our goal here. And now what we want to do is just do Alt-Delete, Option-Delete on the Mac, and you can see that it fills in this whole area. And what I like to do now is just make it totally match this background. I see that it looks a little bit lighter, so I'm going to do Control-U, and I usually just play with lightness till it looks like I just can't even see it. When I get it so that I can't even see a dividing line between the background and my actual image, then I call it OK. And now what I'm going to do is select this rectangular marquee, and I'm going to simply draw a line from this top corner to this bottom corner. And you're going to note that Photoshop will sort of jump to that corner right there. You see that? If yours isn't jumping, you want to go to View and choose this Snap option and make sure that that is turned on. And that will make it automatically snap to those areas. And now we're going to destructively change this. This obviously took just a couple seconds to create, so I don't need to worry about making a mask or fixing this and making it editable. I'm just going to hit the delete key on my keyboard, and there it is, Control-D, and look at that. Now I see my image exactly what it's going to look like when it's cut. This is a really great trick to preview your bleeds and see what the actual final printed image is going to look like. So now we're going to do a couple things to get it really ready for the client, because I want them, when they look on screen, to see exactly what they're going to end up with on paper. So the first thing I do is I like to view the image in actual print size. So I go to View, Print Size, and that shows the image in approximately the size that it should print when it's actually printed out in real life. Depending on your screen resolution and how things are set up, it may be slightly different, and there's been times where when I have a real picky client and he's really picky or she's really picky about the size, where I'll literally just hold a ruler up to the screen and then I'll just adjust the size down here. If it needs to be a little bit bigger, I'll go to 28 and see what happens. Oh, that's too big, so now I'll go to 26. And so I'll just dial it in until it's basically the same size that it needs to be, which in this case is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches.
My dad.
So that's a great way to kind of dial in the size.
My dad had to leave
And then I'm going to turn
early.
soft proofing on. I can see that it
Well, you know, this
switched
is my
off when I
time,
saved
so
the copy.
go ahead
So
and
I go to
grab a
View,
seat, darling.
Colors, and it's looking good. I can see right here it's showing that I am in soft proof mode, and I just make any adjustments
Yeah, but
that I
it's
need to.
picking it
if
up
the
off
colors
the.
shift when that
I'm not
happens. But
doing
it looks
it.
good to
Normally,
me.
I'm doing it, but
And the very
this
last
guy's
thing I
so
like
good
to
at
do is I like
Photoshop
to
that I'm
hide
just
the
taking his stuff,
guides. So I'm going to go to
pirating it
View,
completely. And I used to be able to just
and then go down
download the
and uncheck
videos,
Extras,
but
which
now it
is
won't let me
Control
download
or
the
Command
videos, so I'm just
H.
screen recording them. So
So
you'll
this
see a
shows me
drop
my
in
image
quality.
exactly how it
I don't
should
know.
look when it's actually printed out. And here's another trick that
No,
I
it
really
has
like to
nothing to
use
do with
again
it.
when I'm working with the client.
It's
They're
not
coming in to look
YouTube.
at it.
It's
I want
not
to get rid
YouTube.
of this
It's
Photoshop
a service
interface
I
when they
have.
look at it.
So I'm not quite sure
One way
what's
to
going
do
on.
that is to simply choose the different options
I
from
don't want to
this
do
screen.
that.
I know. I'm just
For
saying.
one
can
thing,
see,
there's all
I can
kinds of
click and
crap
choose
that it
different options
downloads
here,
with torque.
but
There's
a
no
great
way.
shortcut to know is
Darling,
F.
let me work.
I just hit F and it's going to cycle through. So that's regular Photoshop. And next is full screen mode, where all of my palettes are floating and Photoshop is taking up the whole screen. And lastly is this really great preview. I can do Control R or Command R on the Mac to hide the rulers. And when the client comes in, they look at this and they get a really good chance to see what it looks like. Now you can see that the background is turned black. So here I might want to adjust that bleed layer that I created. But if the client is familiar with it, then that's okay. Or if I just choose this mode, then they can still see the image without that bleed. So really great ways to kind of change the screen so that the client has a really good preview of what the image is going to look like.